everyone. Welcome to the second Hump Day Luncheon. So today we have Javid Jouzdani, a data scientist that has done a great analysis on the very hot topic COVID-19 and the impact of it on the current environment. So the session is going to go for about maybe 20 to 30 minutes. Javid is going to take us through a few modelings that he's done, and also I'll introduce him in a minute. Feel free to post your questions in the chat, and I'll take them, and I'll try to be nice to Javid and not too tough. So I try to moderate the question, but I'm sure Javid can answer all of them. So we aim to go through the presentation first together, and then we take probably 10 to 15 minutes just do a Q&A. So you can post your question in the art. So just on the event on the bottom, there is a section for the comments. So you can just post your question. I keep my eye on that section, and I will take note of all your questions. And also, as more people may be joining, I will be admitting you because this is just a closed event. So once you try to kind of connect to the event, if you gotta wait for a couple of seconds, and then I'll let you in. So I think Javid, you got a few people already tuning in. So without any further ado, I'm just gonna share my screen and give a little bit of a maybe intro about Javid, and then we start. We also got Sean on the line as well, but I guess I'm just gonna take the lead this time. And if anyone have any question for Sean, feel free to post it, and we can ask him later. Okay, so let me just share my screen. If you can please give me a second, just get this technicality of it sorted. Perfect. Okay, I've got all my screens here. Just checking that you can see the slide.
Not yet.
How about now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now. Yeah.
Great. Okay, excellent. So Javid, thank you so much for having us, letting us having this session with you today, and getting to know more insight about the impact of COVID-19. I think everyone are familiar with the term COVID-19. There is no no need to explain what does that mean. It has been the sort of a life of everyone since sometime around February, when it's called a pandemic. So what we're going to cover today, I'm going to just quickly introduce Javid, and I let you lead the way, Javid. So Javid has done an amazing job in terms of the data science and also academic side. Javid, I'm also going to let you introduce yourself a little bit, but just for the audience. So Javid has more than a decade of experience in data science, data analysis and business analysis, and also project management roles. Also, he has delivered projects in various industries, from manufacturing and finance all the way to education and tourism. Javid has a bachelor in applied mathematics, master in socioeconomic systems engineering, and also a PhD in industrial engineering. Because if I can have everyone unmute, please. Okay, great. Sorry. Javid, welcome, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much. I should thank you and Sean for giving me the opportunity of presenting at this nice meeting. I'm really excited about this, and I'm sure that in the next meetings every fortnight, we're going to have wonderful presentations. Thank you for the introduction. I think that's all that the attendants need to know about me. Of course, I'm happy to share more with them, but maybe not at this meeting. As Huria said, yes, it is a topic that I've been working on since the beginning of the epidemic that later turned to a pandemic. The subject was, a subject of interest to me because it is really crucial to support the decision makers with reliable analysis and insights during these difficult times. What I've done here is a series of analysis. Maybe I should begin with the subject of analytics versus pandemics. On the right, you can see that there is some sort of data sheet or data set from the influenza epidemic in 1980, and it is from the army, as you can see, and the several analyses, several data are collected. And on the left is maybe a more modern counterpart, a model that I've developed to analyze the dynamics of the pandemic. But before we jump into the things that I've done, I prefer to share with you a Jupyter notebook that provides some insights and intuitions about what has been going on about this pandemic. So if I can just share my screen with you.
Yeah, sure. I'm just going to stop sharing this and then I'll let you share your screen, Javid.
Yeah, thank you.
Should be good now.
Just a second. Yeah, I can. Now I think you can share this. Yeah. Is it okay now? Can you see my screen?
Yep, I think we should be able to see both the screens now.
Okay. Now, on this Jupyter notebook, as you can see, I have first prepared the data, and then I've prepared some visualizations that may help you understand the development of the situation up until almost today. I've used seaborne libraries. In these seaborne libraries, I have used the animation capability to show the evolution of the situation. As you can see, these are the different countries. On the horizontal axis, you can see the number of deaths, and on the vertical, you can see the recovered cases. The size of the dots on this scatter plot shows the total confirmed cases. As you can see, different countries evolve through the situation, and this is the situation on 23rd of September. But maybe the more interesting thing about the visualization that I've created is that the animated map of the world, that you can see the evolution of the total confirmed cases around the world from the beginning. If I just restart from the beginning, you can see that China has been the source of the virus, and then it spreads all around the world. And for the legend, I should add that the fact that the more intense the color, the higher the number of cases. As we go, you can see that the situation evolves, and this is the maybe most recent situation just at the end of the previous month. the countries with more intense colors have higher number of cases, just as India, Brazil, US, and the more light colored countries are just like Australia and other countries have lower number of cases. But in order to create a more reliable basis for the comparison among the countries, I have defined a new column, a new feature for the data, and that is confirmed case fatality rate. We call it CCFR. CCFR is basically defined by dividing the number of deaths to the total number of confirmed cases. So let's see what happens if we just play around with this visualization. You can see that the situation evolves. And the more intense colors correspond to higher CCFR up until to the end. And you can see that the latest situation. Just to show something, maybe it is interesting to see how the CCFR behaves when the epidemic hits a country. You can see that, for example, for here, for Iran, this is when no cases were found in Iran, and here it is. At the beginning, we have a high CCFR, and as we go, you can see that the color fades away. This is almost the case for all of the countries. And another thing that I want to show you is another similar indicator called CCRR, that is confirmed case recovery rate. I colored this in green, and you can see the evolution of the world regarding this indicator. And why am I sharing these visualizations with you? The answer is that I just want you to have a global view of the performance of different countries regarding the crisis management with respect to these two criteria. Now, if we return to the presentation, I will just stop sharing my screen. Yep. If we return to our presentation, in the next slide, you can see that the behavior of a pandemic is generally like these curves, as you may know. These are generated by the model in the previous slide, where I used the system dynamics to model the differential equations of the behavior of the pandemic. And the peaks are where the nation or a country is hit most seriously, and when it goes down, it is going to be maybe the end of the pandemic. But this is not the case for many countries because of the periodic lockdowns and relaxation of different restrictions around the globe. Now, up until this slide, we may have a general view of how a pandemic behaves. But from this slide on, I'm going to just be a little bit more specific about the analysis. As I told you before, there are lots of criteria or indicators that can be used to evaluate the performance of different countries around the world regarding this pandemic. I've already described the three first indicators, but for the two last, I'm going to add some explanations. About the contagion control, we can say that this can be an indicator of crisis management performance um, evaluation because when the crisis management performed well, you can expect that they can control contagious disease or contagion, should I say. Uh, this is almost the case for the medical treatment, but there are lots of other things that you should consider before drawing a conclusion, such as the population of the country, the geographic area of the country, and many other factors. So let's go ahead and see what this means. Here, we are going to present a model that is used in one of our analyses. This is called efficiency evaluation using data envelopment analysis. Consider a country as a DMU, decision-making unit, with two inputs, population density, and the average of 13 other indicators that measures the total ability of that country in providing health services. Consider these two inputs, and the output would be the confirmed cases. So this way, with this model, we can evaluate the efficiency of a country regarding these criteria in models such as data envelopment analysis. When you do this, considering the medical treatment and contagion control, applying the data envelopment analysis, then you can have a chart that looks like the one that you can see here. In this area chart, you can see that the countries are divided into 4 groups. Of course, the horizontal line is somehow missing. I don't know, maybe it's on my fault. These countries are divided into 4 groups. And as you can see, the horizontal axis, I can see that Isam is going to...
Javid, I've been changing things around with the slide. I might have missed the horizontal line. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Okay. Now, we can use this area chart to divide or categorize the different countries into different groups. Of course, it is a great tool with any other 2-factor analysis, where the vertical line is for the mean of the horizontal axis, and just similarly, for the vertical axis, we have a horizontal line for the mean. So these lines are for horizontal means. And these 2 lines divide the area into 4 areas where you can compare or classify the countries. So you can see that, for example, Singapore here has a great performance because it has a large contagion control efficiency and a rather small medical treatment inefficiency. And the reason for using this inefficiency is rather technical and is based on the VA analysis that we have performed. But I should add the fact that the data is for the April this year, so maybe there is an update for that, and you can see different positions for the different countries on this chart. But the takeaway is that one of the tools that you can use is the area chart and the DEA to compare the efficiency and performance of different countries around the world. So another analysis that I have done on the COVID-19 data is regarding the very maybe hot topic of unemployment, specifically for Australia. As the situation evolves in Australia, there were lots of things going around about the unemployment effects of this pandemic. So I conducted an analysis. I used this very simple linear regression model, but on the non-linearly transformed data. Here on the horizontal axis, we have the cumulative logarithm of cases, total number of cases, and on the vertical axis, we have the unemployment rate. Applying a linear regression model, you can see that we have on the right, this linear regression is used to just quantify the impact of COVID-19 on unemployment rate. So how does it work? If you pay attention to the equation, you can see that we have a constant number of 4.84 and a coefficient of 0.079. This coefficient can be used to quantify the impact of COVID-19 on the unemployment rate. As you can see, the statistics and features of the model are quite good, showing that it is a good fit. This is the model for the New South Wales. Now, let's take a look at the data for Victoria on the next slide. On this slide, we have the similar analysis, but for Victoria. So for New South Wales, we had the coefficient 0.079, and for the Victoria, we have another coefficient of 0.40, but with a different constant. So these two models can give us an intuition about the impact. Let's go to the conclusion, and then I have some points to mention here. The model shows that if the number of cases is tripled in New South Wales in a month, the unemployment rate may increase by almost 0.8% in 10 months. The number for Victoria is 0.40. These two numbers can give intuition about how the impact can be quantified. But there are two major things to keep in mind about these models. First, these models are not used for making predictions and cannot be used to make predictions because as the situation, as the restrictions are relaxed, then it is expected for the unemployment rate to drop, but this model doesn't support that. And one other thing is that the data are the data points used to present this analysis are quite few. So from the perspective of a data scientist, this is not a good use of machine learning. So we are not talking machine learning here, but using a machine learning tool in analyzing the data regarding the COVID-19. Okay. If we can address more problems, more things regarding COVID-19, we can pose the questions how COVID-19 has changed the pattern of consumption of goods and services. And this is the case that we have seen in every aspect of our lives. You can see, lots of people working from home, and other things changing around the country and around the globe. This can be a very interesting subject to address regarding this pandemic. It has changed our social relationships. We can model how the relationships have changed due to COVID-19. Of course, there are lots of good techniques to model that. You can use different tools from system dynamics to sentiment analysis. Especially the latter is really interesting, and I'm going to work on that. Maybe something interesting comes out. The evolution of businesses and especially supply chains is a very interesting area of investigation for making insights for the decision makers. Consider the fast-moving consumer goods FMCG industry. It has to cope with the situation in a new way because there are lots of restrictions and there are fears of future infections. So it's going to be changed. But how? This is a question that we as data scientists need to answer. And what opportunities and what threats have emerged from this pandemic? Actually, I have seen lots of opportunities along with lots of threats, but identification of those opportunities and threats from the data can be a very difficult but rewarding task. So,
thanks, Javid. I think it was really great presentation. I definitely have a few questions for you.
Yes.
I've been just checking the chat. I don't see any specific question to you at this point.
Yeah.
But I've got a few that I'd like to ask you if you don't mind.
Sure.
The first question is, how would you go about improving the model further? I just heard you saying that there are actually other interesting ideas like a sentiment analysis that you may want to do. But how about your current model? Do you think that there are areas that maybe coming 9 months almost after the pandemic now, and obviously we have now more data and even different type of data. How would you go about improving your model further?
Very good question, Uriah. Thank you for asking. My first, action about this, improving this specific model, is using a moving average instead of a cumulative logarithm of total cases. Mm-hmm. The moving average has the property that can, model the fadeaway of total number of cases. So the model can predict maybe in the future how the unemployment rate reacts. Regarding my current work on COVID-19 data, I can tell you that I'm working on the subject of the relationship between the age and the symptoms of the disease. More specifically, I'm interested now on designing or maybe creating insights on the age-specific symptoms of the disease and what the results can be, where the results can be used. I think for maybe identification of the people who come for treatment at different centers from the very general and overall level. The GP can just know the results that, for example, people of over age 60, for people of over age 60, cough and fever are much severe than other symptoms. Mm-hmm. These are these two, areas that I'm currently working
on. I've got a question from Hema saying that how did you address gaps in data reporting by some nations? And I may just actually kind of rephrase it. And it was when you were presenting, I was thinking that our data analysis is as good as the quality of the data that we have in any context. Doesn't matter if it's a COVID-19 managing through the crisis, or it's a business intelligence unit in any organization want to check, for example, the performance of the employees. So I was always thinking that when we talk about data science and data analysis, how can we have that some sort of a maybe quality assurance or quality control along the way, and how we can take those maybe data that are not necessarily adding any insight, and they may actually take us or divert our attention from the main focus. Have you had any experience with this data analysis, and did you mainly focus necessarily, for example, on the countries or continent that they were mostly impacted, or their impact has an impact on the economy, for example? So how did you kind of try to find a direction in terms of your modeling?
Well, very, very good question. I really appreciate it. Regarding the data quality, I should say that this is not just the case of COVID-19 data. Mm-hmm. When you just step into the world of data analysis or data science, you have to be ready for such things.
Absolutely, yeah.
The method that I usually use is something a little bit strange. I've taken from social science research, and this is called triangulation. When triangulation basically is something that is used to just verify the facts from two other sources. You have to shape a triangle. So when I, for example, get data from the official web pages for a country,
yeah,
I usually try to double check the facts with my own perception and with international data. Of course, it's always a good idea to just triple check with people around you, people who know the economy, know the situation, and know the problem. In a smaller scale, for example, in one of my projects, I use the data from the systems. I talked to many people within the company. I talked to the clients, and I talked to some of the people who were very active in the market to make sure that the data I'm collecting and the data I'm seeing is something that can be relied upon. But there is always the risk of using some errors or misleading data. There is always the risk. You can just reduce it, but I'm always skeptical about eliminating the risk totally.
Yep. No, thanks for that, Javid. I keep the chat open if more questions come through, but I still got one more question for you.
Sure.
And it's around building your model. What are some of the challenges that you faced in building the model? I guess one of them is what we just tapped on, which could be the quality of the data and also accessibility of the data. Actually, how can you find reliable sources of data that then you can kind of build your model upon that? So I guess as an analyst, you always take up on the challenge. That's kind of your role, but and that's not something that's gonna make you worried about it at all, but maybe make you more excited as how can you actually tackle those challenges. So I'm very keen to know, and especially for our audience in our community, that they may be 10 years through this, or a more senior, or just starting up on doing some sort of a data analysis and modeling. What are some of the challenges that you face, and also how did you manage them?
Mm-hmm. Very good question. Thank you. Let me just start from a very general point of view and then delve into the details of your question. Consider the case that there are two cars, two drivers. They are just driving from one you know source to another destination, uh, then they maybe just go ahead and reach the destination. But what if one car just breaks down in the middle of the road? The driver who knows a little knowledge about the mechanics of the car can manage his or her way around and reach the destination. This example shows the importance of knowing the fundamentals. I believe that for the starters, uh, they definitely need to know mathematics, statistics, and computer science, of course, to be able to see beyond the obvious things. My approach to the your specific question, the subject of your specific question, was that I usually, when collecting data, making sure that every that all the data are of good quality, I usually take a very long time just exploring the data and searching for specific patterns in the data, uh, doing some analysis usually referred to as exploratory data analysis. This is crucial. This gives you some intuitions that can help you in developing a good model in the later steps. Regarding this case, it was interesting. As you can see, I used a nonlinear transformation of the data and then fed the data into the model. The question is that, maybe I should rephrase the question. The question for me is that how I, guessed that I should apply this nonlinear transformation. This, I think, comes from the key fact that I have a good background in mathematics and statistics, and I have seen a lot of data sets, and I have challenged myself to deal with these kinds of problems. This can help in developing intuitions about how you should develop your model.
Yep. Thanks for that, Javid. I guess what if you would like to add anything further other than the question that thanks for answering them all. If you don't have to, if you think that you've covered all the area, I may just quickly jump into the next slide to just encourage everyone to get on the community, introduce yourself if you haven't already done, and get involved. Like Javid, thanks for stepping up and asking if you can do some presentation, which was a very interesting topic. And thanks for your time today. I think it was really very insightful. I definitely enjoyed going through this modeling and analysis with you, and also very interesting subject. And I look forward to see more of your analysis on this topic. I guess if maybe if you have some sort of a comment or any sort of advice or a suggestion to our new members as how they can get the most out of the community.
Well, I have to say thank you for just giving me the opportunity of being a member in the ART. I really appreciate it because it is a fantastic opportunity not to just share your ideas, but more importantly, just to learn from others. There are to the people who are going to join us. I have to say that there are lots of nice and knowledgeable people in this community, just like Huya and Sean. I can't thank them enough to give me the opportunity of presenting at this meeting. And please join, and don't forget to just not only share your ideas, but just ask your questions. It's going to be a very good place to ask your technical questions, and I'm sure that there are lots of people here who can answer those questions.
I think, Javid, sorry, we got one very last question
Yeah.
before we close up. Philippe is asking which platform you were using to show the visualization.
Yeah. Basically, I use Python for coding, but and of course, there are lots of different visualization tools that you can use, for example, Tableau and Power BI, and I have worked with them, and they're really nice and powerful tools. But if you want to have more control over what you're doing, then I suggest using some scripting languages like Python, and specifically packages like Seaborn, Seaborn, and Bokeh. These two are pretty good. Of course, I prefer using Seaborn because it supports lots of many different types of visualizations. And if you have any questions and if you have any ideas to share, I would be happy to have those ideas and questions.
That's great. Thanks, Javid. I think with having those questions, it might be worthwhile if I open up a little sort of a chat in our in the group, in the Hump Day group, just to kind of collect all the information that you provided to everyone, including which platform you use and how you overcome the challenges. Of course, for the audience that are watching this, they're going to go through this and enjoy you actually showing them how you develop your model. But for anyone who just want to quickly get an understanding as what are the available tools and platforms for them to maybe navigate their modeling to, it might be useful to just have those information posted in the community.
Sure.
Javid, thank you so much.
It
was a great session. I look forward to your future works and the future Hump Day, and I thank all the art members for supporting us. And if you've got any idea, any suggestion, any topic that you would like to present, please feel free to send me a message, and I do my best to help you to present it. Thanks, everyone, and have a great afternoon. Thank you, Javid.
Thanks. Yeah, have a nice time.
Bye.
Bye.